Meghan Markle breaks her agreement with King Charles and Buckingham Palace to leak to her friends at People magazine less than a week after that promised meeting. How predictable. She can't help herself, can she? You stupid cow! Like, how many times have I told you don't be a... Ms. Pepper is no longer interested in the salt shaker, if you understand what I mean.
The royal reunion details are already spilling into the press. The promise of privacy has been shattered, and the royal family has been dragged back into a public spectacle by the very couple who demanded secrecy.
They couldn't hold their silence. What they had told King Charles was a lie. Sussexes start to leak new details about the meeting with the king.
For days, the public was told that this reunion was different. No cameras, no official photograph, no staged arrival. Meghan and Harry were finally given what they had claimed to want for years, a private moment behind closed doors, away from the noise and the headlines. But how long did that silence last? Not even a full week.
The reporting directly contravenes what Prince Harry and Meghan Markle had agreed with the palace, which was that there was to be no briefing around this visit to try and shape the narrative in favor of one party. But she can't help herself, can she?
Suddenly, People magazine was publishing an exclusive cover story filled with anonymous voices describing Meghan's feelings, Meghan's intentions, Meghan's disappointment, Meghan's support for Harry, and Meghan's supposed humiliation over the way the trip unfolded.
Certainly in the case of People magazine, it is either directly from Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, directly from one of their friends, or directly from their communications team, at the moment the hapless Liam Maguire.
So much for silence, so much for privacy, so much for allowing one deeply sensitive family meeting to remain inside the room. The palace released no photograph from the Highgrove reunion and almost no detail about what was said. The meeting involving Charles, Camilla, Harry, Meghan, Archie, and Lilibet was treated as a personal family occasion. Highgrove offered privacy, distance, and control.
Only people responsible for this playing out in public were Harry and Meghan. The palace said nothing. They sat patient.
Yet the Sussex version has already started appearing in glossy magazine language. Meghan was very supportive. There was a lot of sadness. She always lets Harry lead when it comes to his family. She would have felt humiliated watching the public argument over the visit. Do you see what is happening here?
So we're meant to feel sorry for them here.
Before we continue, I want to mention something really quick. Organizing your family's important information is one of those things most of us know we should do, but we keep putting it off. That's exactly why there's the Family Vault. It gives you one place to organize your important documents, insurance, medical information, passwords, and more, so everything is easy to find when it's needed. You'll find the link in the description, or you can scan the QR code on your screen. That's all. Now let's get back to today's story. The private meeting itself may still be hidden, but the emotional framing around it is already being sold to the public. Nobody has published what happened inside Highgrove or revealed Charles's words, but the narrative has begun.
This leak is Meghan trying to make herself the victim in all of this, somehow.
Meghan is presented as the loyal wife pushed away by security problems, quietly supporting Harry while he manages his family. And somehow, after all the chaos surrounding the trip, Meghan becomes the wounded figure in the story. How convenient.
What was it that was so awful this time, Pet? The audience with the king at his Highgrove sanctuary, the offer of an apartment at Buckingham Palace, maybe? No, apparently it was the very public way the back and forth about the visit was conducted.
Let us remember how this entire visit developed. Harry was preparing to return to Britain for charity appearances and the countdown to the 2027 Invictus Games. Before he even arrived, the trip became another public battle over accommodation, security, deadlines, and who had accepted what.
Hang on a second. It was her team that fired the starting pistol on making public this entire psychodrama by issuing unprompted an operational note to journalists confirming that the whole California quartet would be flying over for what the Sussex people were already thrillingly billing as a dramatic rapprochement with the entire UK.
The king had reportedly offered Harry accommodation at a royal residence, where security could be controlled. Palace sources said the offer remained open until a deadline, but formal acceptance did not arrive in time. Harry's side then publicly challenged the palace account, and the story exploded into another exhausting argument.
It's on the front page of the biggest selling newspaper in the UK, and that's what it's all about. The way that it's been handled is purely about making sure that everything he does and says, and it's all part of the brand, keeps them current. Will they, won't they be part of Buckingham Palace, be at Buckingham Palace? I feel sorry for the king with this because he's been played, I think.
Was Harry staying at Buckingham Palace? Had the offer been withdrawn? Did he reject it? Was it about security? Why was a private arrangement being fought through the press at all? That was the atmosphere surrounding the trip before Meghan even appeared. Then Harry suffered a huge courtroom defeat in his case against Associated Newspapers. The High Court dismissed the claims brought by Harry and the other claimants, and Harry responded by calling the judgment a complete and obvious whitewash.
Two people that are up to no good, because that's what they appear to be doing. At least that's what it looks like to me. Prove me wrong.
So Harry arrived in Britain carrying legal anger, financial pressure, another public fight with the press, and another dispute involving the palace. Meghan had originally been expected beside him at parts of the trip. Her presence could have transformed the week. Every camera would have turned toward her, and every headline would have asked whether this was her royal comeback. But Meghan did not appear publicly.
People says the Duchess planned to be by her husband's side for several outings. However, there was an about face when security concerns prevented her and their two children from a full visit to Harry's home country. Now, again, this is totally intellectually dishonest reporting from People magazine. There's been no about face. Nothing has changed. Like, they got the security that has already been agreed. So no about face, just to correct that.
Harry attended the Invictus Countdown event alone. Meghan and the children were kept out of sight until Buckingham Palace confirmed that the family had privately met Charles and Camilla at Highgrove.
By doing that, Harry has just completely undermined the argument that he has spent months making that the country is too unsafe for his family.
That secrecy was powerful. For once, the Sussexes entered Britain without producing the photograph everyone expected. Meghan stayed away from cameras. The children's reunion was not turned into an official image, and Harry received no public royal endorsement.
20 cars went into the Gloucester home of the King and Queen, Highgrove House, for some function to do with some organisation. And hidden within those 20 cars was, indeed, Harry, Meghan, Prince Archie. Is he Prince Archie? I have no idea. Archie and Lilibet.
The palace controlled the visible story. That was the whole point. No balcony, no procession, no official family portrait, no public speech. No triumphant photograph Meghan could carry back to California.
This wasn't a victory. It was proof that everything has come full circle when you look at the lies and all of the chaos.
The reunion happened, but the institution refused to package it as a comeback. And now People magazine has arrived to package the emotions instead. Think about the language. A source said Meghan would have felt humiliated.
A source who knows the couple. Oh, I wonder who. Tells people in this week's exclusive cover story that she would have felt humiliated. Oh, poor Meghan. Humiliated watching the public back and forth unfold.
Watching the public back and forth over the visit. Why is Meghan the humiliated one? Harry's team was involved in the public dispute. Harry knew that his security position had not magically changed overnight. Harry knew that royal accommodation required planning, notice, staff, and protection. Yet the story became a public circus before the family meeting even happened.
It's no longer about Harry and what's important to him. Meghan is on her quest to do what she wants to do, and she's proving it to us all.
Now the same chaos is used to create sympathy for Meghan. She wanted to be there. She was supportive. She was sad. She allowed Harry to lead. She was apparently watching all of this from the side, almost like an innocent passenger trapped inside somebody else's disaster. But Meghan is not a random passenger. This is a woman who built a global identity around telling her version of royal life.
Meghan is very supportive of Harry, adding there's a lot of sadness over how the week unfolded and that she wasn't able to be by his side. However, another insider adds when it comes to Harry's dealings with his family, she always lets him lead. Behind the scenes, the drama surrounding the visit was quite stressful.
She sat for Oprah, appeared in the Netflix series, and discussed the institution, the pressure, and why they left. Harry then released Spare with deeply private family conversations and memories. For years, the Sussex brand has survived by turning private conflict into public content. So when People suddenly receives multiple quotes from sources who know the couple, are viewers seriously expected not to ask where this emotional framing came from?
But why this matters, of course, is that we know that Prince Harry has in the past directly emailed People magazine. We know that People magazine effectively operates as like the house journal for the Sussexes. And we know that Meghan Markle wanted it to be known to the world that the choreography of this meeting was nothing to do with her.
There is no public proof that Meghan personally called a reporter or dictated the article. But someone close enough to describe her feelings wanted them in the public record. That matters. Because the public message after Highgrove was supposed to be simple. This was private. Yet within days, the silence was being filled by anonymous sources explaining why Meghan was hurt, why Meghan stayed away, why Meghan supported Harry, and why Meghan should not be blamed for the mess.
Is just full-on pro-Sussex propaganda, because actually Meghan could have been there. She planned to be there. My belief is the reason she didn't attend is because she didn't want to be pictured with Prince Harry on the week that he had had the most significant courtroom loss in modern history. He is a loser. She didn't want to associate with him this week because, again, nothing in the security has changed.
Is that privacy? Or is that controlled publicity without a signature? What do you think? Was this story published because Meghan desperately wanted her side understood? Did somebody close to the couple believe the palace version was becoming too powerful? Or was the entire point to make Meghan look loyal while allowing Harry to absorb the damage from the trip?
Everything with Meghan and trying to get these jobs and trying to get these awards and her continual quest for celebrity, it proves one thing, that Meghan's priority is for herself.
The most revealing line may be the claim that Meghan always lets Harry lead when it comes to his family. That sentence sounds supportive, but look closer, it also creates distance. If the reunion becomes successful, Meghan was the loyal wife who supported Harry. If the reunion collapses, Harry was the one leading. If another family argument begins, Meghan can say she allowed Harry to handle it. If private details later emerge, the public can be told that Harry was responsible for his own royal relationships. It is the perfect position.
What is quite notable, though, is that Meghan Markle didn't attend the Time 100 event with Harry. Certainly, when the chips are down, she don't want to be seen with her Duke.
Close enough to benefit from the royal connection, far enough away to avoid responsibility when the connection becomes toxic and Harry continues walking directly into that trap. Days after the secret reunion, he appeared alone at the Time 100 Sports Gala in New York. There was no Meghan beside him. There was no frightened retreat from the cameras.
Meanwhile, Prince Harry has arrived back in the United States, completely fine, proving the point that I have made, by the way, for months and years, that they can travel in and out of the UK with their children privately with absolutely no issues whatsoever.
Harry stepped onto the red carpet, smiled, posed, and even praised the photographers as some of the most polite he had ever met. He seemed to enjoy the warm reception. This is the same Harry whose public life has been dominated by battles over press intrusion, camera flashes, security, photographers, and the damage of constant attention.
Because they're not slick. There are a couple accounts that they have been using allegedly, imposter social media accounts, 2 of them.
Yet when the cameras were friendly, Harry was suddenly relaxed. When the photographers were praising him and calling his name, the danger disappeared. When the red carpet offered applause instead of criticism, he did not look trapped. He looked delighted. Harry said Charles was doing great and that Meghan and the children were happy to be back home. Happy to be back home? People magazine was simultaneously telling the world there was a lot of sadness over how the week unfolded.
There's a lot of sadness over how the week unfolded and that she wasn't able to be by his side throughout the visit. A source tells people.
So which emotional story are viewers supposed to believe? Was Meghan devastated because she could not stand beside Harry? Or was she happy to return to California? Was the visit a painful humiliation? Or was the family reunion so successful that Harry returned energized and smiling for the cameras? This is the Sussex contradiction in one perfect week. In Britain, everything is danger, pressure, security, trauma, hostility, and humiliation. In New York, the cameras are polite, the red carpet is enjoyable, and Harry is suddenly comfortable answering personal questions.
Prince Harry, the bonehead who sinks millions into failed privacy actions and who says camera flashes terrify him, is now doing cheesy "have you got my best side, guys" camera turns at celebrity galas like he's Meghan Markle's sugar lump veneers. Hypocritical old ham. He was loving this event so much overnight that he even praised the photographers, who he usually claims to despise.
Love it. Life is good.
Outstanding.
You're perfect. There it is.
And one lady, there's one lady, it's me.
She's the best. Nuh-uh.
The problem never appears to be publicity itself. The problem appears to be publicity they cannot fully control. A private Highgrove meeting gave the palace control. No photograph meant Meghan could not use the image. No public details meant Harry could not immediately claim a dramatic breakthrough. No official statement meant the Sussexes could not present themselves as restored royal insiders. So what came next? Anonymous emotional commentary. The image was unavailable, so the narrative became the product. And that narrative places Meghan exactly where she wants to be, at the emotional center of a story in which she was barely seen.
How on earth can Meghan Markle then leak to People magazine, contravening the agreement that they had made with Buckingham Palace, that she is somehow the victim in all of this?
She did not attend the Invictus event, yet the coverage became about what Meghan missed. She did not appear publicly in Britain, yet the cover story became about Meghan's sadness. She did not control the palace announcement, yet sources were suddenly explaining Meghan's private position. She did not stand beside Harry in New York, yet her absence became another major part of the story.
Yes, and it could be a bit cultural, Rupert. Americans don't like losers.
Meghan can disappear from the photograph and still dominate the headline. That is not weakness. That is media strategy. And Harry seems to perform the same role every time. He enters the conflict. He fights the court case. He attacks the judgment. He argues over security. He appears alone at the charity event. He faces the questions. Then sources close to the couple explain that Meghan supported him from the background and suffered emotionally because of everything that happened.
Surely we now have proof that he can fly in and out of the UK, sight unseen, no paparazzi pictures, no security troubles whatsoever. So what's his issue?
Well, I think that'll probably be a big issue for him because they do love a controversy.
Harry receives the public damage. Meghan receives the sympathetic framing. How many times can this pattern repeat before Harry understands it? This UK trip was supposed to prove that something had changed. The family traveled quietly. The reunion happened without a leak during the visit. The palace gave them a private setting. Charles saw his grandchildren. Camilla was present. Meghan returned to Britain without creating a public scene. For a brief moment, it looked as though the Sussexes had finally learned the value of silence. But silence only counts when it survives the days after the meeting.
She always plays the victim, and they were always going to leak it. It was a matter of time. Even I thought it was quite quick how they've leaked.
They can't help themselves.
Detail. There'll be more detail that comes out about this, and it will all be positive about the Sussexes. I mean, the reality is that's what they're going to do. They're going to leak, and it's inevitable. I mean, it is inevitable.
Real privacy is not refusing to publish a photograph while anonymous sources explain everything around it. Real privacy is not keeping the king's exact words secret while releasing Meghan's emotional reaction. Real privacy is not hiding the children while using their visit to strengthen a public reconciliation story. Real privacy requires discipline, and discipline has always been the greatest test for Harry and Meghan. They say they want peace, but their brand grows through conflict.
They do this because the goal is their individual brand, mainly Meghan, I believe. Mainly Meghan. Because while you hear your husband wanting to have a life back in the UK, then all we see of you is appearing on Australian television for Celebrity Chef. You've nominated yourself for this low-end Emmy Award, something that was really for the team, the big picture of the project of With Love Meghan, not as her as an individual, but it's so important to her that she will take these steps to get what she wants.
They say they want privacy, but their relevance depends on public curiosity. They say they want family healing, but healing creates less content than another dramatic feud. They say they want security, yet they repeatedly travel, appear at public events, and enter highly visible environments when the opportunity benefits them.
Guys, she can't help it. She loves the publicity. She loves the attention, and she desperately needs the opportunity to merge.
They say they are moving forward, but every major publicity cycle somehow leads back to the palace. Meghan has a lifestyle brand, entertainment projects, television appearances, and celebrity friends. She has every opportunity to build a future that has nothing to do with the monarchy. Yet what puts her back on a major magazine cover? A royal reunion. What gives anonymous sources a reason to describe her emotions? A royal reunion. What makes the public debate whether Meghan was supportive, humiliated, rejected, or misunderstood?
They get information out there that they can show that comes from someone else, but it really comes from them. A lot of different leaks with the media, with Harry and Meghan.
A royal reunion. The royal connection remains the most powerful fuel in the Sussex machine, and that is why this people's story matters. It is not simply a harmless article about a difficult family week. It shows how quickly a private event can be turned into a carefully shaped public narrative.
I still believe that the UK trip was a total epic disaster. And I understand they got the private meeting with the King and Queen, but just hear me out on this, right? Because what she didn't receive was the photo opportunity that she so desperately wanted. What she didn't get was the chance to unveil the children's faces at a public royal event or royal adjacent event, which would have then allowed her to spend the next year pimping out the kids as much as possible for her business.
The palace said almost nothing, and Meghan did not appear publicly, but the Sussex emotional story still reached a magazine cover. That does not happen by accident. Stories need sources, sources have motives, and sympathetic framing benefits somebody. The question is not whether every line came directly from Meghan. The question is why people close to Meghan and Harry believed these details needed to be published immediately.
The titles matter. Having an open family connection matters to Meghan Markle. Knowing that they have proximity to royalty, it matters.
Why could they not wait? Why could the reunion not breathe? Why did Meghan's humiliation need to be explained? Why did her sadness need to be announced? Why did the public need to be told that she lets Harry lead? Who was that message really aimed at? The palace? Harry? The American audience? Or Meghan's own critics, who had spent the week asking why she left her husband to face another disaster alone?
She will absolutely be by Harry's side on Friday if he wins, but he's lost now. I don't think she wants to be on the arm of a loser.
Because that criticism was growing. Harry had lost a major case, faced pressure over legal costs, and watched his Invictus mission get swallowed by royal drama. Meghan was nowhere beside him in public. Then suddenly, People explains that she had wanted to be there. She was supportive. Security stopped her. She was sad. She was humiliated. She let Harry lead. Every criticism receives an answer. That looks less like ordinary reporting and more like reputation management.
Can I just give Harry and Meghan a newsflash? It's been resolved a long time ago. There is nothing to resolve. You're not getting it unless there's a specific threat. So you're the ones creating this constant drama. And you know that. It's just People magazine lying.
And while Meghan's reputation is being protected, Harry continues exposing himself. He recently appeared on a podcast and described himself as the Prince of England and a full-time father while joining crude conversations that many viewers believed made him look unserious.
Can I just say that the thing that should probably get your title stripped is going on a podcast, sort of a TV show these days, and talking about your pubic hair and people shitting themselves.
Then he appeared at the Time Gala and happily worked the cameras. Harry wants to be seen as a wounded prince, a campaigner, a father, a celebrity, a victim of the press, and a friend of the press depending on the room. But these identities are crashing into each other. Meghan's public image is controlled, polished, and protected by anonymous explanation. Harry's public image is becoming more confused every week. Does Meghan still see him as the bridge to royal relevance? Does Harry realize that every failed battle creates another sympathetic Meghan story?
Anyway, and the age of 36 or younger, that's interesting. Because normally once you're 40 or older, never trust a fart. But you're young and you, on the M25, shout your pants via a fart. That's hilarious.
And what happens when the next private detail emerges? Today, it is Meghan's sadness. Tomorrow, will a source describe Charles's words? Will somebody reveal the mood inside Highgrove? Will the public be told who apologized, who cried, who refused to discuss the past, or who promised another meeting? Will a future documentary quietly reference the reunion?
Will it remain private? And that will be the acid test for the Sussexes and their sort of relationship with the extended royal family. If they can keep all the details quiet, then that might be a step forward in the way that they conduct themselves going, and particularly relationships with the king, and maybe even down the line with his brother.
Before we continue, one quick thing. One thing I've realized is that most families don't have their important information organized in one place. That's exactly why I recommend the Family Vault, a simple printable and fillable organizer where you can keep everything from important documents and insurance to medical information, passwords. You'll find the link in the description, or you can simply scan the QR code on your screen. Now let's get back to today's story. Will Meghan eventually describe the visit in an interview while claiming she avoided the private details? One small leak becomes permission for another. One emotional briefing becomes a pattern. And once the palace believes that private contact will always produce public content, why would it offer Harry and Meghan another private door? That is the risk they are creating. And this reunion could have been the beginning of trust. Instead, within days, it became another cover story.
The financial geniuses that are Harry and Meghan can now scurry back to the US and try to convert the royal stardust, with which they hope the visit will cover them into the filthy liquor upon which her sights have always been fixed.
Meghan may not have posed outside Highgrove, but her feelings were placed in front of millions. Harry may claim the week was about family, but he returned to America and immediately stepped back into celebrity publicity. The Sussexes may insist they want reconciliation, but reconciliation cannot survive when every emotional moment becomes material.
This has been a fiasco. It's been a circus.
So tell us what you think. Did Meghan's side break the spirit of the private reunion by briefing People magazine? Was the humiliated narrative designed to protect her from criticism for leaving Harry alone? And do you believe Meghan truly lets Harry lead, or does she simply step back when the consequences arrive? Because the photograph may have stayed private, the conversation may still be hidden, but the publicity machine is already running again. And if this is what happens less than 1 week after the reunion, imagine what could come next.